Walt Disney World, one of the greatest places on earth. Some people would say the most magical place on earth or the happiest place on earth. I'm just triggering all the Disneyland fans out there that love to talk about Disneyland. And I probably mixed up all of the different monikers and names which you can talk about it. But that's what we're here to talk about today. My name is Kyle. You have probably heard of me if you're on this channel, specifically on YouTube, from i2i with i2i Kyle and Jessica, my other dynamic duo who's not in the picture with me right now. We'll get to who that is in just a little bit, but she's still around. She does a lot of reaction videos with me and stuff, and may even appear in here from time to time. But I am your host, or one of your co-hosts of sorts, however you'd like to look at me, just the guy sitting behind one of the microphones. We're here to start a podcast. And if I've got to do a podcast, I'm going to do it about something I love talking about. And that is Disney parks, yes, in general, but a lot of Walt Disney World. And maybe even we might talk about some of those other Orlando places. My co-host may convince me to talk about that if she wants to. Let's introduce her. My co-host, my sister-in-law, Brittney Reese. Welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Kyle. So I am a part of the Reese family. I am married to Kyle's wife's brother. So the Reese clan, they got me hooked on Disney right away, pretty much. I never really grew up going to Disney, and as soon as I got involved with their family, I think we took our first trip about a week after I got engaged to my husband, and I didn't really love it right away. It took a while for it to grow on me. I just remember thinking that the animatronics were like so creepy, especially the ones in Spaceship Earth.
Hey now, hey now.
It's like if I get stuck in this ride, I'm just gonna have a panic attack. But then I don't know, it just grew on me, and now I just love it. I love it so much that I've made it my job. So I'm excited to start this podcast with Kyle and just be able to talk more about something I love so much. So here we are.
Yeah. We'll get into, in segment 2, a little bit more about our history with Disney and maybe just talk about that trip especially. Or there was a subsequent trip where there was a moment where I knew my mission had been accomplished. So I'll talk about that in a little bit in regards to you. So this is our first episode, in a sense, of a podcast that we're going to be honest with you, the listeners, the viewers, that we're just trying to figure out. We know that we want to do this. We know that we want to make this a regular thing for content here on our YouTube channel. But obviously, maybe you've even seen some of these clips, maybe a full episode or something on Brittney's content. We'll talk about how to connect with her, mainly Instagram, in just a little bit. But that's really, Brittney, we're here to figure this thing out.
Yep. We're in it together. We got it.
Walt Disney said it's if you, I'm butchering the phrase or the quote he said to some effect.
If you dream it, you can do it.
If you dream it, you can do it. Wait a minute. Is it on the wall? It's on the wall.
Is it on your wall? You can't see it.
I can't see it right now. If you can dream it, you can do it. And if you've ever been to a Disney park, I'm sure they have them in Disneyland too. The walls that go up for construction that say, "Pardon our pixie dust."
Yes,
so
that is us for sure.
Pardon the pixie dust and the awkwardness at times here, because we're trying to figure this thing out along the way. So let's just workshop this thing, Brittney, what we want this to be about. I think you and I have talked about this enough that we've got a general idea of how this is going to go. We want this to be obviously a show about Disney parks, a lot of Walt Disney World, but even more so, we want to be about you, the viewer, the listener, to connect with you, obviously, about talking about Disney news, things like that. Brittney's going to be very helpful as a Disney travel agent to discuss some of the things, updates. I know, just plugs away for you, Brittney.
Go ahead, plug away.
We also want to talk about the things that you guys are most interested in, even if it's not related around news. We are interested in hearing from you online. So I think, as a quick plug to start off with, Brittney, I'm going to put this on you. And I gave you a little bit of heads up that we're going to ask that you guys, if you want to give us feedback about the show, if you want to connect with us for topics, or just you want to tell us about a story that you had at Walt Disney World, hit Brittney up on Instagram. Where can they find you real quick, Brittney?
So it's going to be Brittney Vacations. It's Brittney Vacations. Would love to hear anything that y'all have regarding feedback from the show or just general Disney park experiences or thoughts. So hit me up. And like Kyle said, I am a travel agent, so I got you covered in that aspect as well.
Yep, and all her services are free, and
Yes.
that's an important aspect. Everybody, it still is amazing to me to this day that people don't know that working with a travel agent is free. Like, and it's a weird concept. You think, well, somebody gives you a service, you got to pay for it. Well, you're paying Disney.
Yep. I mean, you're paying for it whether you get my help or not. So
exactly.
Whether or not you want my help, you want me to do the legwork.
Yes.
And you get a $25 gift card if you book with me.
Oh,
shameless plug. Okay, I'm done.
She's not done. That'll be the first of many things there. We're going to get all of these things out there out in the open right now. So I think what we envision for this show, and this will probably be a little bit different even the next time we get together, is doing, for right now, a monthly show. That'll give a lot of time for Disney news to kind of accrue together. In fact, we've got a list of stuff that we're going to get to a little bit later here. That we got some really important things for it to kind of accrue together and talk about some of those things together. Because obviously a lot of those are going to be hot topics. And I can imagine, not that we're going to get into it right now, but you've had a lot of opinions shared about the new, not the revamp of Genie Plus Lightning Lane. I would imagine that's been a hot topic.
Oh yeah. Can't wait to dive into that. That's got a lot to say on that.
I know. She's like raring back. Don't get me started.
Hold me back.
Right now. Don't get me started. So obviously we're going to spend a segment each week talking about that. That'll probably, honestly, once we get this first one out of the way, be the very first thing we talk about, because we know that's what a lot of you are here for, is just to talk about, hey, what's the latest news? What's people's opinions on it? What do I need to know? What's coming up? What controversial thing has happened at Disney this week, that everybody's buzzing about on social media? Another segment that we would like to do regularly is more geared towards you, the viewer and the listener, which is what we talked about, why we'd love to hear from you and connecting with Brittney on Instagram. You can also leave comments and questions on our YouTube channel to connect with us there too. We want to use things that you guys talk about that you say, if you bring up and something that's worthy of having a big conversation about. So just keep in mind, if you interact with us, we may use your stuff here on the show. So you might want to keep that friendly. How about this? Disney friendly, not Universal friendly, because it gets a little different at Universal, right?
Not in a bad way, just different.
Not in a bad way. It's just different. We've had this conversation before. Here's a controversial thing to start off with. Both Universal and Disney down in Orlando are great, but they're very different. Am I saying anything incorrect?
Kyle hates Universal.
I do not.
I'm just kidding.
I do not.
No.
One of the best things that I've ever had was a brookie. And where was that at?
Was at Universal. You're right. Okay.
In Dr. Seuss land. In fact, I found
the receipt. Would you pick a brookie or a Num Num cookie? Oh. Let you ruminate on that one.
That's going to be tough. Hey, that just gave me an idea for a great segment. What would you pick? And it doesn't even have to be Universal versus Disney.
Yeah,
you had to pick
this or that snacks.
Add the snacks.
That's a conversation everybody wants to have, is snacks.
Yes, and you'll have to wear your snack shirt that day that you Jessica shared. In fact, at any point, the door's locked. Actually, I was going to say, if Jessica's going to run in here screaming snacks. Are y'all talking about snacks at this point?
She's like all on board to join that segment.
She's like, just call me for the snackage and I will be there. So
and Ryan will be here whenever we talk about the best bathrooms.
The best bathrooms. Pens,
Ryan is just rearing to talk about bathrooms.
He's a frequenter of them, I guess. That's going to be the bad thing, Brittney, is that we've got to refrain from joking on our in-laws too much. But they make it so easy to do so.
It's going to be tough. We can do it. We can do it. I believe in us.
It's going to be tough. All right. So Disney news, that's going to be a segment each week. We're going to talk about, hopefully with you all, things that you all spur on conversation pieces. But then we're going to have just a fun Disney topic every single week, like one that we can just talk about for a full 10 minutes, whether it's related to a news item or just your top 10 bathrooms. Okay. Apparently Ryan's coming on for the top 10 bathrooms. I don't know.
Mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars for top 10 bathrooms right now. Pin it. Everybody be here. And I'm sure, here's the crazy thing, Brittney. everybody's got opinions. I know I do, about who's got
Oh,
the
I do,
best.
yeah.
And maybe we shouldn't spend so much time in that. Maybe if we didn't eat so many snacks. All right, I'm getting too graphic now. Let's reel this thing in. So that's how this show is going to work. That's how we think we're going to do it, a monthly show. I'm shooting, and we're probably going to shoot for releases at the back third of each month. We'll talk about it. It may change over time. 30-minute show, or roughly, with 3 10-minute segments, news, your discussions, and then just a fun Disney topic. I think we workshopped a show that can work, Brittney.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's give it a shot. See what happens.
And hey, if we didn't figure it out, it'll go down in flames, and that'll be just as good of a show.
And this was just a fun experience for us.
It is the Disney experience, I guess. I feel like there's some tagline to use, but we'll leave it at that for this one. Everybody's got a Disney story, whether you started out as a wee little baby, being pushed around in a stroller with your brothers, and you may or may not have a very embarrassing picture of y'all like piled in a stroller together, sleeping on top of each other after a very fulfilling day at Walt Disney World. That may have been Disneyland, I'm not sure. You got fond memories, you got good memories, but everybody's got a Disney story. Some of us have been going for a long time and have been considered Disney parks fans for a long time. Others, like Brittney, are fairly new to this. But also, people like Brittney, even though they may not be as long tenured as Disney parks fans, they have gone into it so hardcore that you would never know that they haven't been a Disney parks fan.
Yeah, I just kind of hit the ground running with this one.
But that's your personality, though, right? You tend to find things and just like go straight into it.
Yeah. And, the running joke is that I just find whatever Jessica's interested in, and then I'm interested in that too.
Let's see. Cats.
So
snacks,
reading, medical field, board games. Yes.
It's just weird.
She just has to let me know whenever she's got a new hobby, just so I can get on board with it too.
I don't think it gets much more extensive than that. It's cats, snacks, and then the other things that you mentioned as well. Again, I'm just really fighting the urge not to joke on our in-laws the entire time.
It's going to slip every now and then. It's great. It's fine.
It is. But that just means they have permission to rip us new ones if they ever come on the show. So let's dive into it. Ladies first. Let's talk about your Disney story in more detail. So however you want to tell it, where does it begin for you? Where did you go to Disney parks ever when you were a kid? Tell me.
So growing up, I went to Disney, maybe just like twice. My dad took me when I was 7. We did like a couple days at the parks, and then we went on a cruise. Went on the Magic. It was over the Millennium, actually. So we did, I think it was just like a day or two at Magic Kingdom. And then we went on the cruise for the Millennium. And that was, I was only 7, so I don't remember too much, but I just remember it being amazing, like being there over New Year's Eve and clock striking midnight, like on a Disney cruise in the middle of the ocean, just so magical.
Wow.
And so that was my first experience. And then I don't think I went back until I was a freshman in college. So around like 2010, 2011, we did the same thing. We did a couple days at the parks and then went on a cruise. I don't remember which cruise ship it was. That was my first time in Animal Kingdom. So we did Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, and then we went on the cruise. Again, great experience. I have more memories of that since I was 18, 19. But I just feel like my appreciation for the Disney parks didn't start until, like I mentioned earlier, when I started going with my husband's family, Kyle, Jessica. Just seeing too their knowledge and appreciation of it, I think really changed everything. Because before, when I went, I went with my dad and his side of the family. They love Disney, but they're not like Disney nerds. They don't know like all the lingo and all the trivia. So I really just got a new appreciation for it. And I did go to Disneyland too, I think when I was in college also with my dad and that side of the family. I want to go back really bad because I mean, now that I have, again, such a more of an appreciation and knowledge about it, I want to go back and like really experience it again. But
yeah.
So then since I started going with my husband's family, I think we've been together 4 times now, 4 or 5 times as a family.
Let's see. There was... I think it's 5 now. I think I know there were 2 very quick back-to-back, and then there was at
Mhm.
least 2 during some of the COVID restrictions. So maybe it's either 4 or 5, but it's been a lot
Okay.
in a very short amount of
Yeah.
time.
And so then I also started going. Ryan and I went one time by ourselves, and then I've been 2 or 3 times with my best friend. So in the span of 4 years, I've been like an embarrassingly high amount of times, like 8 or 9 times in 4 years. Um, so then I took it to the next level because, as Kyle says, I like to obsess over things. So I turned it into my job, and now I'm a travel agent. I work for Academy Travel. And it's just been great. I just love Disney so much. I feel like every time I go, I find something new. We do something for the first time. And it's just so immersive. You just forget about all your worries, and it's just so
Mhm.
fun, so great. And I just love making memories there with my family.
Yeah, all those things I'm going to completely agree with you, but I want to talk about your side of this a little bit, my perspective as well. So, as you'll come to find out when I talk about my Disney story here in a second, I'm a little obsessed and have been for a long time, longer than Brittney, but maybe even a little bit more than you at certain points. I may or may not have made a spreadsheet that I used on our first trip, me and Jessica, but we'll talk
No
about that in a
shame.
second. No shame, no shame. It's only embarrassing if you make it embarrassing. Just embrace it and
There you go.
take it for what it is. So my thing that I always go back to with you was I think it was the second trip with you. It may have been the third. I think it was the second trip. Whenever we go to Disney, we go to Orlando and we go to Universal for at least a day because there's value in
You
going
got
there as
to.
well.
Harry Potter. Love Harry Potter. We
Mm.
will convert you one day.
Oh, you will not convert me, but I will admit that one of the best rides ever is Hagrid's motorbike race or whatever it's called. I can't
Yes.
remember. That is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Just super fun, super thrilling. And they have the Brookie as well. I will get, and supposedly, here I am talking about Universal. Volcano Bay, I'm a huge fan of water parks, is apparently amazing.
That's what I've
So
heard too. We got to try it out, I guess.
I can get on board for that. And apparently, this new theme park they've got coming, Epic Universe, is going to be epic. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have more, I guess, to experience over there too. All right, back to this. So we took one of our typical trips, and we had gone the whole trip at Disney. The last full day, I think we went to Universal. Maybe it was 2 in a row, and we came back because we were staying on Disney property, and I convinced you guys to go. Let's go eat at Captain Cook's in Polynesian Resort. Because I wanted to go smell Polynesian again. If you know, you know, folks. The smell
Mm.
isn't.
Oh, yeah.
And because I needed an excuse to go get one last Dole Whip. So all the things. And then we're sitting down in Captain Cook's, the quick service there in Polynesian. And we're all eating, enjoying our meal. We're tired. We've had a long week. You literally kind of finish your food, like push yourself away from the table, sit back. Is this ringing a bell where I'm going with this?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe once you
You
tell it.
you literally push it back and go, you know what? I think I'm going to say it. I like Disney better than Universal. And I literally just threw my hands up like this in celebration and said, my work is done here.
I've done it.
I have done it. I have turned somebody into a Disney Parks
Oh,
fan.
and you
So,
did. You did it. You did a good job. Because I'm full-fledged Disney now, and I do love Universal so much in Harry Potter world.
right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's Disney.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that is, I'm sorry, I guess, is the phrase I should be using for you. And I'm sorry to your
Mm.
husband. I guess I'm sorry to my wife as well,
Well,
who is got another fiend to deal with in the Disney space. But don't let her fool you. She's pretty crazy about it too. Snacks. That's her
oh
thing.
yeah, I blame half of how I am on Jessica, so
Well,
not letting her get away with that.
as we talked about, you pretty much follow the trends that she goes with.
Oh yeah.
But here we are. So you are a Disney fiend, and I will tell you this much. And again, another plug for you as a Disney travel agent. I am very thorough when it comes to planning things out. I've got too much memorized up in this noggin that I shouldn't have memorized about where to go, when to go, things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
this right here has turned into like the master planner of things. There were things this last trip that I literally turned around. I was like, wait a minute, how did we manage this? And it was a Brittany. So kudos to you.
It's like it's my job or something,
It's like your job or something. So if you want somebody who's detail oriented, another plug for her right there. All right. Let me try to briefly talk about my Disney stories. It's obviously dates back to childhood. There was a trend where we went to a Disney park, and I say Disney parks, I mean Disney World and Disneyland, like every 4 years, it seemed like. So I can remember as a little bit of kid going to Disney World first, then going to Disneyland, coming back to Disney World around, I think it was the Millennium Celebration, close to it. So Brittney, we might have crossed paths. Maybe.
We might have.
You just never know. It's hey, it's a small world.
Okay, here we go. Dad jokes are starting already.
That's how it's going to go down on this show. But I went on that. I did take a break for a short while, just because life got busy. You get into high school, you got so much going on. I did attend, and I say attend, band 1 year, meaning I was told by my parents that you need to be the part of the marching band with not an ounce of musical talent. Was the best trumpet holder in the world, but the one good thing about being out there and being embarrassed of my non-musical ability was I was the best marcher, and I got to go to a Disney World trip at the end of the season of that athletic year, and the marching band got to march in Magic Kingdom in the nighttime parade.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh.
I know. It was awesome. So I think that kind of reignited it, but you still get busy, you get back. And then finally, Jessica and I, after we got married, I tried to convince her, let's go back to Disney World for our honeymoon. She wouldn't have anything to do with it at the time. I hadn't, infected her yet. But we went back for our first year anniversary, or not back. We went together for the first time on our 1 year anniversary. And folks, I know it doesn't seem like it if you've been to Disney World recently, but crowds used to be not that bad. So much so that Jessica and I'll never forget this. The first night we were there, we went to the Magic Kingdom. We laid on our backs. We could have made not snow angels, but you get the motion I'm making. That's how much room we had laying down there watching the fireworks on our backs in front of the castle. So that moment is one that'll always stick out to me. And the rest is really history. We have gone back so many times, just the two of us with our family, me and Brittney, and then my family, obviously, Jessica's other in-laws, my brothers, their significant others, and my mother. So the history with Disney for me is very thorough, is very long. I have become quite obsessive about it over the years. I've tried to rein that in just a little bit. It helps having someone with the level of Brittney's energy here to take responsibility away for me and let me just kind of chill out for a little bit. But for me, it is about the snacks. It is about the rides. It is about the atmosphere. But there's just, as you mentioned, it's just the feeling when you're there. The immersive nature with which Disney brings to the table. Are you going to get the most amazing thrill rides in the world when you compare it to like a Universal? Probably not, except with a handful of exceptions. Tron, Everest, things like that at Flight of Passage, throw in there as well. But or if you go out to California, like Incredicoaster is, wow, that's some fun stuff.
See, I got to go back again because I got to re-experience all this stuff.
And you did it probably when it was California Screaming, which is the same.
I think
ride.
It was, yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, it
ride.
was before it was Incredibles themed. So,
But
maybe next trip we got to convince the Reeses to go out to California.
I will tell you, when I will never trade Disney World over Disneyland, but there was something to the whole thing when you're on their property, even though it's so compact, you are there. There's no need to walk everywhere. I literally stood in the middle of their boardwalk area or whatever it was between the two parks, turned around. There's California Adventure. There's Disneyland. That just blew my mind.
They definitely have Disney World beat in that regard, that everything is just right there. No need for buses. You just walk where you got to go.
Don't knock the buses. I'm weird about that. I know
you love the buses. You love the buses.
There's something about it, man. It's just, I like being around people and the crowds and the stuff. Everybody else hates it. It's kind of like, it gets me energized and jazzed up. It's like a game to get around people and stuff like that.
Okay.
We'll talk more on that a little bit, but that's not all of Brittney and I's Disney stories and stuff. We wanted to kind of give you a background of who we are, we'd love to hear from some of you guys about your stories. Like, how long has it been since you've been a Disney Parks fan? When's the first time you went there? Let us know. Like we talked about, hit Brittney up on Instagram. Let us know in the comments section, channel, or wherever you find this content on i2i in the parks. But that's what we wanted to talk about, our Disney stories. And of course, we want to hear from you. Probably the segment that a lot of you are going to be really interested in, the most interested of our show each and every month, is going to be the Disney news segment of this. Because let's be honest, that's why you're here. You're wondering what we think about this. Did y'all hear about this? Have you talked about that yet? Are y'all on this side of the fence about Dole Whip or Citrus Swirl? You know, what's the new snack item that is sending Ryan to the bathroom, apparently, because that's
oh gosh
the topic that we're going to talk about. But Disney news. Let's get into it here and talk about it. I want to start right here at this very top thing that I'm sure was just the topic of conversation when it came out earlier this month. The new Lightning Lane system begins on July 24th. Depending on when you are listening to this, about where the relation is of it happening to you. But on July 24th, it takes effect, effectively replacing Genie Plus. I didn't call it Disney Plus.
Bye.
Apparently, Brittney is excited about this. So, Brittney, give us some details and talk about it.
Well, I personally like Genie Plus, and I think it's because I didn't know the other way around, because I never experienced fast passes. When I really started getting involved with Disney was when Genie Plus was a new thing. I personally don't think Genie is that difficult, and I think it's just because I am a travel agent. I go so much, I've got a lot of experience with it. So when you do something as often as I do it, it becomes second nature. And now that I've, mastered it, quote unquote, and I know how to explain it to people, now I'm like, oh, of course there's a new system coming out, great. But it will be so much easier for first time guests and people who don't go as frequently as we do. So essentially how it works is 7 days before your trip, if you're staying on Disney property, you can book 3 Lightning Lanes. And that will be, it's not going to be free like it was. There will be a cost to it. They haven't released what the cost is going to be. It's probably going to be similar to Genie Plus, I'm imagining. And then for non-resort guests, you do that 3 days out. There is going to be a tiered system.
I'm sorry, I know we got to talk about the details of this, but the fact that you never got to experience, or at least remember, those paper fast passes that you had to run to each station and get, like that was
a shame.
It was like pin trading. Who can get to the fast pass machine first to get the best time? So anyway, sorry, I'm tangenting the system. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so for Magic Kingdom, you can pick one of the following rides: Big Thunder, Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan, Space Mountain, and Tiana's. Only one of those. And then the other 2 come from, I won't list them all because there's so many, but the remainder rides. And then once you get to the park, you scan in for your first one. Then you can select another one just based on what's available. There's a lot of speculation on whether it's going to be really limited availability. Apparently with the old Fast Pass system, availability was pretty poor the day of after you scan into your first ride. So I guess we'll see in the coming days, if we scan into Space Mountain, is there any way that we're going to be able to get a Jungle Cruise Lightning Lane the day of? I don't know. So that is for Magic Kingdom. And then for Epcot, you can pick one of either Frozen, Ratatouille, or Soarin'. And then at that, I just don't know if it's worth it at Epcot at that point, because...
Well, here's the thing, and I keep tangenting this, but...
You're good, tangent away.
This, whatever they try to do with Fast Pass, Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, Lightning Plus, Genie Plus, whatever, it mainly works for 1 or 2 of the parks the best. The other 2, and they're doing their best, right? Like, this is me saying a critique of, like, I'm not as happy with some of the things that have and haven't happened. Like, it's not that these people aren't trying. They're doing the best they can to figure out what makes the best experience for the cost and make themselves some money too. But to me, it always seems like ever since we've moved away from that original system, that it's made it questionable whether it's worth for like Epcot, for Animal Kingdom, things like that. But continue.
And so then the last one is just for Hollywood Studios, and you can pick one of either Mickey and Minnie's, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Rock and Roller Coaster, or Slinky Dog, which I find
Mm,
interesting that Millennium Falcon's on that list and not Tower of Terror.
right.
But I mean, that's fine. I'd rather be able to book Tower of Terror and then one of those other rides I just listed. So, I
Right.
mean,
Well, if you think about it,
so
how slow that line moves for Tower of Terror, they've got to make it accessible to get in there and get it. Because if you want to wait in that line for Tower of Terror, if you don't get in at the right time, you will be waiting
it's awful. The queue is
an hour.
terrible when you're just standing on the outside. Yeah.
And then if you get certain
So that
groups of
is,
young ladies that decide that they're going to cut the
oh
line,
gosh.
we'll talk
We
about
could do
that
a
sometime.
segment where it's like best and worst Disney memories. That would be a worst Disney memory.
Or it was the
If there was
best because we brought everybody like together and united to keep people from
there's a
coming.
lot of camaraderie. Yeah. So anyway, essentially Genie Plus now, we're done with Genie Plus. Genie Plus is now going to be referred to as Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and then Lightning Lane Single Pass. So individual Lightning Lane is now going to be Lightning Lane Single Pass. You can still book up to 2 single passes per day. You can do everything in a single transaction. So like if I'm going to Magic Kingdom on day 1, I can buy my multi-passes and my single passes in one single transaction. You book it for your whole family, your whole party. And then you would do that for each day. The only thing that's a little questionable right now is if you're going to be park hopping, because you can only make your 3 multi-passes for the same park. So I couldn't book 3 or 2 for Magic Kingdom and 1 for Animal Kingdom. They all have to be booked in the same park. And then after you scan in for your first one, that's when you can start booking for a different park.
Okay.
But surely like that's going to be something that they fix in the future, because now that we're park hoppers, I mean, you know, we got to be able to book us some other rides. And I'm wondering if that's just because they can't figure out how they would do like the tiers. If you're in different parks, like could you book like one tier 1 in Magic Kingdom and tier 1 in Animal Kingdom? I mean, I don't know.
Listen, when they first did
Kinks.
Disney, Genie Plus, I keep calling Genie Plus Disney Plus. I remember we weren't there for day 1, but we were on a trip where it had like just opened up that new system, and
yeah, it was bad. I remember. Yeah, I think you got us like 2 or 3 max because everything was just booked up.
Well, and things
tough.
wouldn't work or they wouldn't connect, and it was like, oh, this actually, it was chaos. So basically, anytime something new comes around, everybody does need to have patience and let them figure it out. We may like some things about this new thing, we may not. The jury is still going to be out no matter how you feel about it. Give it some time, let them figure it out. They made changes to Genie Plus that made it a little bit better over time. So we'll see. Jury's out. We just wanted you guys to have the information about this new system, and obviously it takes effect this month. Maybe when you're listening or viewing to this, you've already experienced it and can give us some feedback about it. All right, let's talk about some more Disney news. I'm going to pick a news item just because I don't know. Let's just do that, bouncing back and forth. Country Bears reopens on
Country Bears.
Country Bears. Gather around you. I was going to start singing the old song. Now, we are recording this in the middle of July. I have a feeling this will probably have already happened by the time people are viewing or hearing this. I love Country Bears. And I also love the old version, but I am happy that instead of getting rid of Country Bears, they gave it a revamp. And have we done Country Bears together before?
No, we have not. I've never done Country Bears actually, but I will be going to Country Bears during my next trip in October. I will be checking them out.
Now, let me just prepare you. Country Bears is what it is. It's hokey. It's good to get out of the sun, especially if you're there during the 99% of the times it is hot in Disney World. If you go into it with the view that, hey, I'm going to accept it for what it is, and it's like a lot of things at Disney. If you go in there like, oh, this is just going to be a hokey little kids thing, then sure, you're probably not going to like anything about it. But every time I've gone into Country Bears, I've enjoyed the heck out of it. If it's not the show, the animatronics itself, it's it's just watching people have fun with it. Because you'll see like dads in there just like slapping their legs to the banjo and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see the new one. You'll have to go watch a video of the old show. I think we may have one on i2i in the parks. Plug.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos, floating around Instagram of the old stuff. But I'm kind of imagining that I'm going to feel the same way I feel about the Tiki Room. Like going into it, I'm like, this is going to be so boring. I'm not going to like this. And then it's so cute and it's a staple, and now I have to do it every time.
Well, and there's things that are connections to Walt's. Like Tiki Room, to me, is Walt had his hand, not on that specific one, because obviously he passed away before Disney World opened, but it started in Disneyland. And there's pictures, standing with the thing that comes down out of the sky there in the Tiki Room, in the magical Tiki Room, whatever it is. So, all right, so that's a news item there. Country Bear Jamboree, it's back. Get excited, folks. What else do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about some ride closures that are going to be some refurbishments going on. So currently we've got Peter Pan is going to be down until August 20th. So it's about a month and a half. It closed on July 8th. And then we've also got Jungle Cruise, which is going to be closing on August 26th. And there's not an opening date yet. And it's not listed as one of the rides on Mickey's Not So Scary or the Very Merry Christmas Party. So it could be a prolonged refurbishment. We're not really sure about that one yet.
I'm curious what else they're going to be doing with Jungle Cruise, but if it's not listed for Not So Scary's Scary Halloween Party, that tells me that it opens up right before quote unquote Christmas time, or whatever Disney calls Christmas time these days, for the Jingle Cruise. I would assume that's
it's got to be open for Jingle Cruise. I mean, come on, that's like one of the biggest draws.
I know, I do love it, to be honest.
Jingle Cruise is the best. It is the best. Let's see what else. We knew Test Track was going down. They don't have an opening. There's no reopening date for that yet. I think there's speculation that it will be probably spring or summer of 25. Which honestly, that's sooner than I was expecting, considering how long it took them to do Tiana's. So I'm good with that.
I think the last thing we rode at Epcot was Test Track on our last trip, and man, I'm gonna miss that old one. I know, folks, most of y'all are screaming at me right now. The original was so much better, and then there's people that will say before Test Track it was World of Motion, and that was the best one ever. I get it; everybody's got their favorite, but I love the futuristic look of everything in there. And I don't know, I know it's going to be the same ride essentially. They're going to have the part, which is the best part, but there was something, I could hear the music playing in my head right now, all the feelings I got in there, so that just makes me a little
don't cry, Kyle, it's going to be okay.
I'm not going to cry. All right, let's do rapid fire, maybe a couple more here.
The shooting arcade, not really that big of news.
It's not, but some people love that. Some people love the shooting arcade.
Ryan and I did it for we did it for the first time actually on our last trip. It was when we missed the Tiki Room by like 10 seconds. Y'all were ahead of us and we ran to the bathroom and we got there and then they said, nope, can't come in. So we went and did the shooting arcade, which it was hokey and I don't care that it's going away. It's going to be a new DVC lounge.
Well, just because that's what we need, another DVC lounge. But hey, for all those people that can afford DVC, there you go. You've got something to look forward to coming to Frontierland. I know there's a lot of people that have nostalgia towards that shooting arcade. It's probably one of those things that you have memories of doing with your grandparents or something like that. So change is inevitable. I hate change, but as Disney said, it's not a museum. And at some point, whether we like it or not, for a variety of things that I won't get into here today, it has to change. So no more shooting arcade, but I'm happy. Here's one thing that you and Ryan can say, Brittney. I have never participated in the shooting arcade. You have, so you have that leg up.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, growing up with brothers going to Disney, I would think y'all be all over that.
We were so, and I'm about to say something you're gonna love. We were so focused on Buzz that it didn't matter. What about Buzz? That's an inside joke. Another story we'll tell probably another time. But all you need to know is we'll say, "What about Buzz?" What about Buzz? All right, folks, that's going to be episode 1 of i2i in the Parks, the podcast. We appreciate you joining us, hanging out with me and Brittney. Again, we're a work in progress on this. Pardon our pixie dust. Thanks for listening in, tuning in, watching, however you got here. Connect with me here on i2i in the Parks. And that's probably the best way to do that on the YouTube channel. Brittney, once again, plug where they can find you and how they can get involved with you as a travel agent.
Yep, you can message me on Instagram. That's where I do most of my business and my marketing. It's Brittney Vacations, Brittney. Of course, like Kyle said, you can feel free to leave a comment on YouTube on this video and let us know any other topics that you want us to talk about. And you know, we're open to anything.
Yep, definitely do that. So I am going to sign us off with our traditional i2i format, even though it's not necessarily directly about Disney World, but it encompasses a lot of the different things in the Disney space. So with that being said, until we assemble again, may the force be with you, and we'll see you real soon.